Okay, so we have created an object and we've manipulated a face. We selected it by right-clicking and selecting the faces, and then we extruded it with the Edit Mesh tool. You can also, alternatively, in the Polygons shelf, select the extrude icon. Let's go back into object mode and select our object. I know the object is selected because the edges are green. If it wasn't, they would be gray. And then over here on the side, this is your sidebar icons. Clicking these makes the sidebars over here appear and disappear. Okay? I am looking for my modeling toolkit. If you don't see one of the sidebar options I have, you can make them appear and disappear and unlock them by clicking on these icons up here. Okay? So I'm in my modeling toolkit. If you click on it, it'll disappear off to the side. If you click on it again, it'll open up. I'm going to click on Quad Draw. Now my object, even though it's still selected, the edges are black. I actually want that. So while hovering over my object and holding down Control, I can now drop an edge loop into my object. And I want to drop this as close to the center as I can get, but it's okay if it's not perfectly in the center. Click right there, and now I have dropped an edge loop all the way around the center of my object. I mentioned that we work in cubes generally to start. The reason that is because the edge loop tool will not work if what you are dropping an edge loop has less than 4 faces, or if it has any number other than 4. 4 faces is called a quad. Insert edge loop tool only works with quads. It also gets a little confusing when you run into a face that has more or less than 4 edges intersecting, but we'll get into that later. For making the hammer, this is just about what we want. All right, you'll notice it's not perfect. That's okay. Let's go back into the selection. Click on the little arrow for selection. Again, I was holding down Alt and middle mouse button to truck around. Then I right-click on the object. Let's go into vertexes. Okay. Now I have this vertex selected. Because I did a marquee select and the object was transparent, I not only have this one selected, I have the one on the other side selected. Because this is see-through, and both of those are aligned perfectly. You can see in the top view, both of those are selected, and over here in the side view, both of them are selected. Okay? When a vertex is selected, it turns yellow. I want to snap that vertex directly on the middle, and because my object was created on the 0 axis, the middle is perfectly on the 0 axis of the grid. So what I want to do is I want this, I could hit W and just start moving this point around, but I want that point to stop and go perfectly on the 0 axis. And the way to do that is up here. These are your snap settings, okay? The one we're using right now is snap to grid. These other ones you're going to get to later on. You could snap to points, and then if there was another point in here, it would snap to that point. But we want to snap to the grid. The grid is right in the middle. So I move over, let me move out just a little so you can see what this does. I move over just a little bit and it automatically snaps right to that 0 axis. And no matter how close you get, that's going to be perfectly on the 0 axis. Okay? So let's try and do multiple of these, but you're going to notice a problem. I'm going to select all of these middle ones, and I'm going to try and move them, and I still have snapping on, but you'll notice as I get closer, they're not perfectly on that 0 axis. The reason is because in my snap settings, I need to turn on or turn off retain component spacing. Okay? The way I do that over here in my move tool, if I double click on that, my move tool settings pop up. under Move Snap Settings, anytime you see one of these little arrows, when you click on that arrow, more things are underneath. So Move Snap Settings, this little square where it says Retain Component Spacing, if I that's the autosave. If I click on this, it will tell it, okay, if it's on, it'll pick the middle of all of the things that you have selected, and that's the handle. That's where it's going to say, okay, that's the snap. If you turn off Retain Component Spacing, let's see what happens when I have just one of them way over here. Okay, this one's way off. Okay, if I hold down Shift and get all the other ones selected, and I have Retain Component Spacing on, they're snapping, but they're retaining their relative spacing. I want to turn that off. Click on the box. If it's not checked, you are no longer retaining component spacing. Now you'll notice they're all lining up together on the same 0 axis. You want to be careful not to move them on one of the other axes, or here, this is what will happen. Oh no, my face has snapped to the middle. Control Z is undo. It undid it. This is what I wanted. This is where I am. Let's go ahead and File, Save Scene, and that is the beginnings of the modeling toolkit and the sidebar. We'll get into the other tools in over here on the side, some of the other tools in the next video.